On our online presence, the language that we use matters a great deal, as well as the images. The language is important in terms of how we include, how we invite people in, and how we express who we are. The words you and we are very powerful. UUA.org used to use the word we to refer to UUA as in UUA staff. And we on staff realized that was building an unintentional wall, and that now UUA.org uses we to refer to Unitarian Universalists and to people who are seeking Unitarian Universalism and engaging with Unitarian Universalism. It's a very open we. Also, you is a powerful word. Many advertisers speak directly to you, but often religious communities hesitate to do that. But we have very powerful direct you messages like you are loved, you are a person of worth and dignity, you are unique and unrepeatable and sacred and vulnerable. Those are the kinds of messages that we can be putting out there directly to people in a hopeful and healing way. We also seek to use language that includes the user in other ways, language that builds on what our audience already knows and isn't going to require them to look things up and do their research before they know what we're talking about. And also language related to what they search for. For example, we might not call ourselves gay church. That's kind of a funny way for us you use to describe ourselves. However, our audiences search for gay church because they want to find a church that is friendly to LGBTQ folks, and everybody spells LGBTQ in different ways, and it's just so much easier to do a Google search on gay church. And so if our sites use those words in different ways, then we are optimized to come up in a local search on a gay church and to show up as a really inclusive and wonderful place for people. So in developing our language, our users' experience, again, is very important and is part of what can guide us in how we do that. And we try our best to think and feel within their frames of reference, including their language and the ways that they see the world. And we encourage you in developing this work to experience your site as a persona, as we talked about a couple sessions ago, and also to test it with actual users if you can, and just see what users look for, what they search for, whether the menu seems intuitive, what their instant impressions are when they come on your site. A couple of quick pointers. You saw in the reading, we talked about how people only read, 28% of the words on the typical website. That's because people skim and scan. So that article includes some tips for how to make your words more readable and comprehensible by the people who are looking. What you see on this slide is the F pattern, which is it's a kind of a heat map of where people's eyes go on a web page. The red parts are where eyes look the most. And you can see it's a little bit like an F pattern. People scan across the top, and then they scan down, and they scan out, maybe a few other lines, and it's basically in the shape of an F. But they are not reading every single word on the page. They are looking very carefully to see what information is necessary and what is helpful. So in writing for this F pattern, we tried hard to make our important points be first, to also have some clear headers and subheaders, to use bulleted lists, and to use link text in an intentional way, because links are emphasized. So instead of emphasizing the word link or click here, emphasize high impact words, emphasize the words that you want to be emphasized. And so that takes a little bit of tweaking in the way that we might normally write, but it's worth it because it makes people able to find those links and click on them. We also try to save our long form prose for blogs, for sermons, not write long pieces on the website. And also writing in an accessible manner is important to us so that we can live out our commitment to be accessible and inclusive. And that means generally writing at an 8th grade reading level. And if you're curious about how to do that, you can check out the uua.org page on website accessibility. It gives you some tips and some ways to make your sites accessible to people with all kinds of abilities and disabilities, and also for testing the reading level of your existing site. So what you want to do with all of these pieces is to help bring them together and convey the experience of being part of your congregation, the experience of being included and ministered to by Unitarian Universalism. And we need to do this because there are many other things people can be doing on Sunday morning. There are many alternatives to participation in religious community these days. And we have a life-affirming faith, one that people hunger for. So what are 3 things that you can do to make the experience of being Unitarian Universalist more accessible to people who come to your website, who come to your social media? What are 3 things that you can do to convey that experience in a better way?